The movie opens with a breathtaking sunset scene, accompanied by the serene sounds of a fresh breeze. The lively streets bustle with activity, filled with people and cars. A signboard reads, Westbury Catholic High School. Leela Kendi, the new teacher, is welcomed by the principal as they stroll through the hallway. Introducing Leela to fellow teacher Shannon James, the principal then gracefully heads out, leaving Leela to embark on her first day. In Jason's home, the family gathers around the breakfast table. Jason's father earnestly advises him about his grades and involvement in illicit activities. Despite Jason's protestations, his mother reminds him of the investment they're making in his education. Jason's frustration escalates as he argues about the source of funding for his schooling. Amidst the tension, his younger sister, Penny, remains silently caught in the familial discord. Jason's mother, expressing concern, invokes the memory of his brother Michael, prompting Jason to assert his individuality. After a heated exchange, Jason's mother adopts a softer tone, urging him to strive for success. At school, Jason engages in clandestine dealings, collecting money from a peer for. In Miss Kendi's classroom, students filter in as she warmly greets each one. Despite initial noise, she quickly restores order and begins her lesson. After class, as Leela cleans the board, the PE teacher, Mr. Matthew, enters and strikes up a conversation. Leela, grateful for the interaction, introduces herself with a genuine smile. Later, Jason and his friends from his previous school convene, indulging in vices and disparaging remarks about their new teacher. At Leela's home, she shares details of her new job with her mother over the phone, expressing hope for a fresh start. Reflecting on her brother Dale, Leela's mother reassures her, instilling confidence in Dale's ability to navigate life. Back at Jason's house, he returns late at night to his mother's admonishments. Concerned about Jason's choice of friends, she implores him to forge new connections at his new school. Despite her pleas, Jason defiantly defends his actions, highlighting his differences from his brother Michael. The following day at school, Jason seeks help from Miss Kendi with his personal essay assignment. As they discuss the task, Leela explains its significance in fostering structured writing and understanding her students better. Despite Jason's initial resistance, Leela's genuine interest prompts him to inquire about her life. However, Jason abruptly withdraws, leaving Leela to encounter Miss James, who cynically dismisses Jason as a lost cause. Undeterred, Leela remains committed to her role as an educator, determined to make a difference. In the following day's class, as Leela reviews the students' files, she notices Jason's filled with negative comments, prompting her to ponder the reasons behind his demeanor. Later, during a poetry reading session, Leela encourages Jason to share his work, despite his initial reluctance. Initially dismissive of poetry, Jason begrudgingly complies. Yet, as he recites his poem, the class is captivated by its beauty, and Leela commends his talent, sparking a brief moment of pride in Jason before he retreats back into his guarded facade. After class, Leela approaches Jason to discuss his academic history, revealing her awareness of his recent transfer and probing gently into his reasons for it. Jason, guarded yet intrigued, hints at familial pressures and his discomfort with accepting charity. Despite his resistance, Leela refuses to let him off the hook, recognizing his potential and challenging him to rise to the occasion. Their interaction leaves Jason conflicted, yet somewhat intrigued by Leela's unwavering belief in him. Meanwhile, at Leela's home, she confronts the remnants of her past through a letter from her hometown, Braybrook, containing her dissolution of marriage certificate, evoking a mix of relief and introspection. At Jason's house, amidst the morning rush, familial tensions simmer as his mother admonishes him for his habitual tardiness. Jason feigns compliance before sneaking off to rendezvous with his old friends, indulging in familiar vices instead of attending his purported study group. The following day unfolds with Leela's inadvertent commitment to spending time with Andrew, a social engagement she had forgotten amidst her professional and personal reflections. Despite her initial hesitation, she acquiesces to Andrew's reassurance of an enjoyable time ahead. As their respective journeys intertwine, Leela and Jason navigate the complexities of their pasts, aspirations, and the unexpected connections that arise amidst the chaos of life. After school, Jason finds himself at Leela's desk, where she confronts him about his lack of focus in class. Opening up about the stress from his parents' pressure regarding his grades, Jason expresses his frustrations. Leela reassures him that his personal essay won't determine his worth, and offers her own background from Braybrook, revealing shared experiences of financial struggles. Bonding over their common ground, Leela proposes daily after-school sessions to help Jason improve his grades, determined not to let him settle for mediocrity. Despite initial reluctance, Jason relents, handing over his personal essay as a symbol of his commitment. And Leela extends her support, offering a listening ear whenever he needs it. Later that evening, Leela and Andrew unwind at a bar, engaging in conversation and dancing. Observing Leela's carefree spirit, Jason watches from afar, captivated by her presence. As the night progresses, Leela, inebriated, bids Andrew farewell and heads home, leaving Andrew lost in his thoughts. The following day at school, Leela spots Jason attempting to leave early, but Andrew's arrival interrupts their interaction. Feeling embarrassed by her previous night's antics, Leela and Andrew discuss the events before parting ways as the bell rings. In class, Leela notices Jason's absence, but is surprised when he arrives just in time for their extra lessons. Confronting him about his truancy, Leela warns him against taking their sessions lightly. Jason's attempts at humor fall flat, and Leela remains firm, refusing to tolerate dishonesty. Despite his apologies, Leela is unimpressed, but ultimately agrees to continue their tutoring. However, Jason's casual demeanor and teasing remarks test her patience, prompting Leela to contemplate canceling their session, refocusing on their work. Jason's persistence pays off as he begins to grasp the material, albeit with lingering tension between them. As they delve into their lessons, Jason's gaze lingers on Leela, a silent testament to the complexities of their evolving relationship, marked by mutual challenges and unexpected connections. Late at night, Leela engages in a phone call with her mom, sharing details of her evening with Andrew. Her mother, hopeful for romantic sparks, eagerly inquires about their connection, but Leela downplays it, emphasizing their professional relationship. Despite her mother's enthusiasm and desire for grandchildren, Leela asserts her need for personal space, reflecting on past experiences. However, their conversation is abruptly interrupted by a knock on Leela's door, prompting her to end the call. Surprised by Jason's unexpected appearance, Leela's concern is piqued by his evident injuries. Apologizing for intruding, Jason admits to seeking refuge and asks to clean up before returning home to avoid alarming his parents. Sensing his vulnerability, Leela invites him in and tends to his wounds. As Leela tends to Jason, her concern grows, prompting her to offer assistance in reporting the incident. However, Jason's evasive responses and dismissive attitude leave her puzzled and cautious. Reminding him of the trust implicit in seeking her help, Leela presses for an explanation, but Jason remains aloof, asserting his independence and preparing to leave. Concerned for his well-being, Leela insists on driving him home, offering a gesture of support in a moment of uncertainty. In the car, Leela attempts to bridge the gap between them by asking Jason about his siblings. His responses are vague, leaving her feeling like she is talking to a closed door. Jason, seemingly preoccupied, apologizes for his lack of engagement. The silence hangs heavy in the car, their glances occasionally intersecting. Suddenly, Jason instructs Leela to stop the car. It's evident that they aren't heading to his house. Curious, Leela questions him, but he merely urges her to trust him. They halt at an undisclosed location, rain pouring down around them. Leela wonders aloud why they are standing in the rain, but Jason cranks up the car's music and steps out. Hesitant, Leela follows suit. And there it is, the breathtaking view of the city. Raindrops cling to their skin as they stand side by side, drenched yet captivated. Jason, with a fire in his eyes, asks Leela for a dancing lesson. Despite the freezing weather, she obliges, drawn to his intensity. But then he crosses a line, touching her inappropriately. Leela halts him, and they retreat to the shelter of the car. She drives him home, avoiding the front of his house to prevent nosy questions from his parents. In the confined space, Leela confronts the situation. She acknowledges that Jason is a remarkable young man, but their interaction has veered into dangerous territory. As his teacher, she can't allow it to happen again. Jason meets her gaze, silent, before pulling out a cigarette and exiting the car. The rain continues to fall, mirroring the turmoil within them, a forbidden connection that has ignited and now threatens to consume them both. Leela sits there, heart racing, wondering if she made the right choice. Jason disappears into the night, leaving her with a storm of emotions and a memory she can't erase. The next day after school, they don't have their extra lessons and just ignore each other. Later at home, Jason's mom is taking out his laundry when she notices some scripts and decides to go through them. She sees that his grades have increased. Meanwhile, Jason is in the living room on his phone, looking at Leela's photos on social media. His mom comes up to him and asks why he hasn't told her about his improvement in his grades. She is so proud of his progress. He then tells his mom that Miss Kendi has been helping him out. Leela and Andrew are out at the bar, enjoying drinks and conversation. Jason spots them from across the room. As they chat, Andrew brings up the topic of Leela's marriage, which makes her uncomfortable. She tries to steer the conversation elsewhere, but Andrew doesn't catch on. Feeling uneasy, she goes to the bathroom, with Jason discreetly following behind. When Leela emerges from the bathroom, she is surprised to find Jason waiting for her. Before she can react, he presses her against the wall and kisses her passionately. Caught off guard, Leela reciprocates for a moment before pushing him away. Despite his attempt to kiss her again, she stops him firmly and hurriedly leaves. Upon returning to Andrew, Leela fabricates a story about a family emergency, using it as an excuse to leave abruptly. Meanwhile, Shannon, who is at the bar, observes the entire exchange. As Leela makes her exit, Shannon joins Andrew, seizing the opportunity to comment on Jason's behavior, likening him to a puppy following Leela around. At Leela's house, she stands in the living room as Jason knocks on the door. Initially, she refuses to open it, deeming it an ill-advised idea. Jason offers an apology, explaining that he merely wants to talk. Eventually, Leela relents and opens the door. She accepts his apology, but insists that their entanglement must cease. When Jason requests entry, Leela inquires why. He contends that discussing matters on the street is inappropriate, prompting her to allow him inside. With clarity, she reminds him that their private interaction is unsuitable for a teacher and student outside of school. Jason acknowledges this, but persists, moving closer to her. Leela steps back, urging him to maintain distance. The conversation takes an unexpected turn when Jason confronts her about the kiss. Why did she kiss him back? Leela apologizes, admitting it was a mistake, but Jason demands more than an apology. She falters, unable to provide a satisfactory answer. As they continue talking, Jason inches closer, asking if she could kiss him again. Leela refuses, asserting that it's wrong. Jason dismisses societal norms, claiming that nobody cares. But Leela contradicts him, she does care. Despite her resistance, Jason kisses her once more. Leela tries to halt him, yet her resolve wavers, and they succumb to their desires, sharing an intimate moment, leaving them both entangled in a forbidden passion. The morning sunlight filters through the curtains, casting a warm glow on Jason and Leela as they lie entwined. Leela's sudden declaration that the situation is bad hangs in the air, but Jason dismisses it, urging her to relax and savor the moment. She extracts a promise from him: secrecy. No one can know about their forbidden connection. Jason's smirk reassures her, and for a fleeting instant, she allows herself to unwind. Curiosity tugs at Leela. Won't Jason's parents worry about his absence? His response is casual. He's texted his mother, concocting a story about playing video games and crashing at a friend's place. The levity returns as Jason playfully tickles her, their laughter filling the room. But then he stills, his gaze fixed on her. Leela seizes the opportunity to delve deeper, asking about his family. Jason has never shared much about his siblings. He speaks of an elder brother, once close, and a younger sister with whom he maintains a strong bond. Leela notices the past tense when he mentions his brother. Is he no longer alive? Jason clarifies the truth is less tragic. His brother has been incarcerated for illegal activities. Despite the circumstances, Jason defends him. His brother isn't inherently bad. He merely sought to provide for their struggling family. The ordeal had nearly broken their mother, and now they relive their fears with Jason, dreading he might follow the same path. Their conversation flows, punctuated by laughter and stolen moments of intimacy. Eventually, Leela reminds Jason that they need to leave the cocoon of their bed. They rise, reluctantly parting from each other. Jason confesses he'll miss class, but promises to attend their 30-minute session. When Leela inquires about the reason, he reveals a tender responsibility he has to accompany his father to a doctor's appointment. During lunch at school, Leela sits at her desk, engrossed in her meal. Unexpectedly, Shannon approaches her, revealing that she saw Leela with Andrew the previous night. Leela's initial relief gives way to curiosity as Shannon recounts their time together. Leela's nonchalant response hints at her lack of concern, but Shannon persists. She drops a bombshell. She and Andrew used to date. Concerned about Leela's feelings, Shannon reassures her that she needn't worry, she and Andrew are just friends. Shannon's parting words are cryptic, yet well-intentioned. Leela watches her leave, pondering the revelation. Meanwhile, Jason navigates a different world, one tied to his brother's past. Dealing with the same people his brother worked with, Jason receives his cut of the money. The leader hints at a future business opportunity, urging Jason to return in a week. Back in the school corridors, Leela unexpectedly bumps into Andrew. He inquires about her mother's well-being, momentarily confusing her. Then it clicks, she mentioned her mother during their abrupt departure the night before. Leela assures Andrew that her mother is fine. He regrets their interrupted date, suggesting they pick it up over the weekend. But Jason's timely arrival disrupts their conversation. During their tutoring session, Jason's contentment is palpable. Leela infers that his father's appointment went well. However, Jason's gaze holds a certain tenderness as he leans in to kiss her, confessing how much he missed her. Leela, though tempted, halts him. The previous night has to be forgotten. Jason, undeterred, proposes a gift. Leela, acutely aware of the boundaries, insists on maintaining a strictly student-teacher relationship. Jason hesitates momentarily, then argues that he should give her the present first before they revert to normalcy. Leela wavers, but ultimately agrees. Closing her eyes, she feels the cool touch of a moon-shaped necklace settling around her neck. Grateful, she murmurs that it's beautiful, and Jason's smile mirrors her sentiment. Yet honesty lingers between them. Leela confesses that she harbors feelings for him beyond what is appropriate. Fear gnaws at her, exposing their secret could cost her job. Jason reassures her that he won't reveal anything, but the underlying issue remains. He is her student, underage, and their liaison was wrong. His blunt words sting as she hadn't considered it wrong last night. Jason's touch strays, and he proposes another night together. Persuasion follows, but Leela stands firm, refusing him. The lesson, she insists, is their sole focus. Saturday will bring no discussion. Jason, unyielding, vows not to give up. And so, their clandestine tutoring sessions continue. At home, Leela finds herself on the phone with her mom, who is eager for updates on Andrew. Leela reassures her they are simply friends, opting to keep things professional. In a spur-of-the-moment confession, she mentions meeting someone else, referring to Jason. Hastily, she dismisses it, citing Jason's younger age and lack of long-term potential. However, her mom presses on, questioning if she likes Jason. Leela reluctantly admits she does, prompting her mom to assert that her feelings are paramount, advising her to not rush into anything yet. Her mom also urges her to consider Andrew's reliability, cautioning against repeating past mistakes. The following day, Leela and Jason embark on a drive out of town, with Leela behind the wheel and Jason navigating. They arrive at a serene spot by a river for a picnic, relishing in nature's tranquility. When Jason attempts to snap a photo of them cuddled up, Leela initially declines, but Jason's persistence wins her over. In jest, he teases her about her past school departure, to which Leela clarifies it wasn't expulsion, but rather a desire for a fresh start, though Jason suggests it's a phrase often associated with wrongdoing. Leela reluctantly opens up about her failed marriage, disclosing her ex-husband's aggression and violence. Jason, empathetic, inquires if her ex poses ongoing issues, to which Leela discloses obtaining a restraining order and severing ties. Jason reassures Leela that he would never hurt her, and they share a kiss. They enjoy swimming together in the river and engage in further intimacy. Leela then broaches the topic of the night Jason appeared at her house with a bloody nose. Jason reiterates that it was simply an occupational hazard, though he doesn't specify the nature of his occupation. When Leela mentions his brother's involvement in similar trouble, Jason grows defensive, warning her not to discuss his brother and asserting her lack of knowledge about him. However, he admits to running the same crew as his brother, but clarifies his intentions are different. He aims to earn enough to relocate his parents from their troubled neighborhood, shielding his sister from its dangers. Leela questions if his parents are aware, to which he replies negatively, fearing their reaction if they find out. As the mood shifts, Jason expresses his desire to preserve the beautiful day they shared and avoid a serious conversation. He boasts about having her with him that day, but Leela retorts that she still considers their actions reckless and foolish, though she confesses to enjoying their time together and feeling happy with him. However, she cautions him about the potential consequences, reminding him she could end up in jail like his brother. Jason dismisses her concern, but Leela presses on, insisting on asking one more question: how he knew where she lived. Jason casually replies that he did his homework, and they share a laugh before he leans in to kiss her once more. Later, in front of Jason's house, the crew is waiting for him. He cautions them about their presence at his house, and they threaten to teach him another lesson, like the one with the bloody nose. They inform him they have a debt-collecting job for him. Jason argues that he is good at selling, and that should suffice, but they insist he take over his brother's responsibilities, including the debt collection. After dumping the details on him, they leave. Back in Jason's house, his mom stumbles upon his phone while getting his laundry. She scrolls through the pictures of him and Leela cuddled and kissing, dropping the phone when Jason emerges from the shower. She hastily gathers the laundry and leaves without a word. Later that night, Jason ambushes a guy to collect a debt, landing a few punches and taking the money. As he catches his breath afterward, he can't shake the feeling of unease about what he is doing. The next day at school, Leela approaches Andrew to request files for a new transfer student. Andrew expresses his willingness to remain friends and offers his assistance whenever she needs it. He also hopes she will consider him when she is ready for something new. During a parent-teacher conference, Leela encounters Jason's mother, who recognizes her from photos with Jason. Mrs. Walker sarcastically insinuates Leela's interest in her son. Leela tries to explain innocently, but Mrs. Walker accuses her of disrupting Jason's life and demands their interaction to end. Leela is confused and later improvises an explanation to the principal about Mrs. Walker's behavior. Shannon hints she knows more about the situation, adding to Leela's worry. That night, Jason hands over money to the dealer crew, expressing his wish to quit, but they laugh it off, warning him against it. They reveal a big job for the weekend, leaving Jason feeling trapped. Later, at home, his mother confronts him about explicit photos on his phone, leading to a heated argument about privacy and potential consequences. Jason confesses his feelings for Leela, angering his mother further. He storms out as his mother continues to scold him. Leela confides in her mother about her worries, revealing her involvement with her student, Jason. Her mother reacts angrily, warning of the legal consequences. At Jason's home, his parents argue over the situation. His father defends Jason's actions, drawing parallels to their own past, but his mother accuses Leela of taking advantage of him. Jason arrives at Leela's house, only to be turned away as she confronts him about his mother, knowing about their relationship. Their argument escalates, leading to a regretful push from Jason. Leela, filled with anger and disappointment, demands he leave. Later, Leela finds an apology note from Jason under her door. When she opens it, he stands outside with flowers. They reconcile tearfully. In the morning, Leela and Jason discuss their options. Leela expresses concern about the principal's suspicions, while Jason brushes it off as paranoia, believing the principal would have said something if she knew. However, Leela remains worried, especially about Shannon possibly knowing something. She fears his mom might involve the police, and Shannon could betray them. Jason suggests leaving town, proposing Leela resign to avoid losing her job, and removing the teacher-student dynamic between them. Though he offers his family's money, Leela refuses, but Jason insists it's his to use as he pleases, emphasizing the urgency of their situation. He persuades her to consider leaving town seriously, and she agrees before preparing for school. At school, Jason approaches Leela with a basketball, but she redirects the conversation, wary of discussing it in public. Upstairs, Andrew notices them briefly holding hands, observing Leela's reaction closely. In the teacher's lounge, Andrew confronts Shannon about Jason Walker, but she deflects. Andrew presses her for clarification, but she dismisses him, prompting his angry departure. Later that night, Jason, in a bright and happy mood, continues his usual dealings with customers, but his demeanor is noticeably different. When asked, he attributes it to being in love. Meanwhile, Jason is packing his bags when Penny interrupts to inform him that dinner is ready. He hastily hides what he is doing, but he then offers her his favorite stuffed bunny from their childhood. Though Penny feels she has outgrown it, she thanks him, and he expresses his love for her. Perplexed by his odd behavior, Penny joins him for dinner. In the dim evening light at school, Leela toils late into the night. Andrew emerges from the shadows, his demeanor aggressive and violent. Desperate to intervene, Leela tries to stop him, but his strength overwhelms her, and he commits a... Later, Leela confronts the scars on her neck, a painful reminder of Andrew's aggression. Jason arrives at her door and convinces her to let him in. Leela shares her pain with Jason, who becomes angry upon seeing her scars. Leela reveals that Andrew already knows about them. Leela confides in Jason that she can't stay there any longer. Jason suggests leaving that night, but Leela hesitates. She reassures him that Andrew won't harm her in public. In a vulnerable moment, Leela confesses her love for Jason, and he reciprocates. Later, he takes revenge on Andrew for what he did to her, culminating in a fight. The day after the school fight, Jason's mother issues a warning to Leela, causing tension. Jason's absence from school distresses Leela, and she confronts Andrew. Despite Andrew dropping the charges against Jason, Leela decides to part ways with him for his own good. Jason pleads with her, but she remains resolute. At home, Jason's mother comforts him, and he weeps over their photos. Leela grieves on a train, clutching Jason's poem. Meanwhile, Jason prepares for an undisclosed operation with his crew, and the film concludes with their voices intertwining in the poem's recitation.